and he's given us the air in our lungs to breathe to let us know how important you and I are. And that's how close God is to us. Maybe not today, but we can get there, by opening up our hearts to the more. We want to open up our hearts to more to the wise one in our ministry. Bobby has all the answers, so
let's hope.
Yeah, I'm counting on it.
Okay. Well, we need Mr. Magic to put up our slideshow.
Okay. Bless you, Bobby.
Bless you, Padre. In the beginning, I have a godchild who always comes in with so many huge things to talk about. And I started saying, I started creating humor and saying, in the beginning, start from there. So anyway, but I want to give it a different perspective for us. So a sage's wisdom, be patient with yourself. You are growing stronger every day. The weight of the world will become lighter and you will begin to shine brighter. Don't give up. That's Robert Tew, T-E-W. And I just saw that quote and I thought, that's just a perfect statement. If you don't give up, you're always in the beginning. So a sage's wisdom, the first thing that I think about is a garden, as I think about the many different varieties of sage. Now, Miriam shared a little story about me getting messages from her mom. There's a particular type of sage, flowering sage, that's on my street. And every time I pass it, her mom stops and gives me a message for Miriam. I usually stop right there in my tracks, send her a text immediately so she can feel the energy. And it's just a very powerful transmission that she sends to her daughter because they're making amends. And I know what that's like because I've had the same kind of experience with my dad, who comes to me and is always, sending messages and making amends. But these many different varieties of sage is really interesting because it's an easy way to wrap our consciousness around the sage. If we can make it something that we can all relate to, then it doesn't seem so big and lofty and out of our grasp. So, sage is beautiful, it's useful, it's simple, it's medicinal, it's used for purification, it's used for ritual. And as we have learned, it's also used to deliver messages to loved ones. And it's truly what is meant for all of us. We are all actually meant to be a sage. A sage is a balm, it's medicine, it's essence. And we are all meant to evolve into being a sage. So this is an age of great evolution, the one that we're living in right now. This lifetime for all of us, this golden age lifetime, there is no greater time to come to terms with our possible self than this one. This is a Renaissance lifetime, but in an amplified way, in a glorious way, in a golden way. So, all of us who wanted to evolve very fast, very beautifully, with great success, came into this lifetime for this time. So it's a time of ascension for many of us in terms of awakening, in terms of truly occupying our whole self, body, mind, and spirit, bringing together in ourself great integrity, wisdom, tolerance, love, compassion, and really truly inhabiting our whole self. So a sage's wisdom is really getting in touch with your whole self, because there's beauty and there's pertinence in all things. It's just that we have learned to come to terms with some of our parts in a negative way. And now we're unlearning that. We're actually approaching it from a space of love, from a space of awakening, from a space of tolerance, from a space of acceptance. And that's what this community is all about. We all come together and polish each other constantly. Padre was saying how many, like 40 volunteers to put this retreat on, there's a lot of polishing that happens in that process, and it's easy to think, that it should be, all light and fluffy, but it's not. Sometimes it's a little bumpy. Sometimes it's confusing. Sometimes we have to have multiple communications about the same thing, because we have negative impressions about ourselves, about our commitment, about our ability, about our worthiness. And when we bump up against each other over time, we start softening together over time, and then something really beautiful can come about. So it's not about perfection. It's about, really awakening to this inner landscape that is beautiful. So at the center of all of this is the sage. The sage is an archetype, and it's something that it will emerge when the conditions are right for it to emerge. Until then, we're working with other archetypes, but the archetype of the sage is a state of being. It's a recognized quality that others can see, and they respond to. And so the more it's responded to, the more it's recognized, the more it's validated, the more it grows. So it's not just ourself that has to really recognize it. It's also, when it comes through, others recognize it, and it becomes useful and valuable to them as well. So the more that the sage evolves, then there's less personality, there's less instability, there's less emotionality, and we start seeing a more integrated experience. So, this is, as we've all said, as Dana said, as Miriam said, as Padre said, as Angelica said, we're not running away from our shadow. We're actually coming to terms with our shadow. We're coming to terms with the darkness. We're coming to terms with the blind spot. That is the sage. So we have to express ourselves. I was with a friend the other day in the car, and we were talking about something, and that had a little bit of a come to Jesus moment to it. And it was really powerful, because by the time we finished the conversation, there was only love there. There was only concern and compassion there for the topic that we were discussing. And that's the whole thing. We don't want to shut down what we need to express, but we do want to express it as clearly as possible over time. And so, sometimes it just takes a really good friend to talk to about that. Sometimes it takes a spiritual mentor to talk to about that. Sometimes it takes, you talking to God. In this case, the moon and the sun. I see that as, our inner being, our moon, our child, our inner child, our moon, talking to God, the sun, and saying how we feel, and so that we can really get in touch with a true and real connection. And then, just like in this image of the flowers growing through the rocks, that's what happens. Something beautiful emerges from the density. So look and see. You have to look and see, and you have to include the divine in that. And you also have to have a willingness, as Miriam said, to look for the best in the situation, in the person, in yourself. We have our raw emotion, but we also have our best self always hiding right behind that, because it won't come out until we're ready to nurture it. So imagine and pray. Don't wait to pray until you need something. Pray and be thankful every day for your blessings. So Miriam did a beautiful job of expressing that through the Psalms. Saint David, King David, he wrote many of the Psalms, and his process was anguishable. He was against tremendous odds in his lifetime. And that is the nature of the saints. The saints all were evolved under extraordinary processes. God's providence was on them, and God's providence was pushing them, like to be a diamond, to be a rose, to be, a celestial being in the everyday, but it was extraordinarily difficult process. So if they couldn't imagine and pray how to step into that, it would have been impossible. But because God's provision gave them imagination, and God, set up circumstances which they had to pray, the best came through. And as Miriam also said, ask for help. There is happiness when you reach out to another. And help is just a simple thing. It doesn't mean expectation. It doesn't mean I'm going to reach out to you and you're going to solve my problems. I'm going to reach out to you and you're going to give me an answer. I'm going to reach out to you and you're going to pay my way. It doesn't mean that. It means I'm going to reach out to you. And even if it's just a silent moment in the middle of the night when a prayer is uttered on your behalf, it's tangible and you can feel it. That's some process that I do. I pray a lot. Sometimes I don't always acknowledge directly the many different things I'm praying about, but I do have a consistent prayer life. That's one of the things that we had to step into as monks in this organization, is that, if you agree to pray, not all of us did that at first, but we became prayer because that's contained in this ministry. This ministry is a healing, miraculous ministry. And so all of us evolve into being helpers for the greater good. And we also have to realize that every situation in life is temporary. So when life is good, make sure that you enjoy it. As Padre says, make it a great day, have one on me. Sometimes you'll reach out to him with a big problem and he just responds with great humor and affection, and reminds you, hey, don't be perfect, just be you, and let's figure this out, over time. It's not an immediate thing that needs to be addressed. And if it is, then we'll figure that out. But when life is not so good, you have to remember that it won't last forever and that better days are on the way. That's a sage's wisdom. And this is Jenny Young who made that quote. That's a sage's wisdom, to just be in the moment, stay rooted in the now. And I just love this little poem, Early Spring Prayer. You can't endure winter like this without wanting to kneel and kiss the green blades of each daffodil reaching up through the leftover snow. But you don't have to scrape your knees or fold both hands in order to pray. The way you shed your coat today and angle your face up toward the sun is enough to say please and thank you over and over, feeling yourself soften along with the earth. Some part of you is reclaiming its color, like the goldfinch, whose yellow feathers are just beginning to show beneath the gray as he cracks open the seed of this day and feasts. So realize that there is a banquet waiting for you. And a sage understands that that's not just a pretty image, it's also a realization. God will provide, so we have to commit on our side of the experience that we will face whatever is there. And even if we can't face it, we will ask for help to face it. And because without the awareness that help is there, we will stay asleep. And we won't evolve. We'll actually devolve. So there has to be this commitment to let our higher self emerge through the process. To not try and make it an ego journey, but to make it a journey of commitment, everlasting, of love and light, of sacredness. Sacredness is a very key thing. And all of us are learning to find sacredness in the everyday. So that means sometimes just look around and say, I got this mess. Stop what I'm doing and focus on unpacking this box or putting these clothes away or doing these dishes. That's a commitment to God, actually, that we're going to live in sacredness. And sacredness is always part of the sage archetype. Not every sage is a saint, but every saint can be a sage. So we have to honor the steps of our journey. This was the day I became a monk. It was in May 4th, 2008, and these people were there with me. Link King, Mary Kay Simmons, Sue Lazier, Julie Cole, and Pam O'Neill. They were my little crew that, they were all there to support me. And of course, there was Padre Paul and Padre Ron, and a whole bunch of other beautiful beings that are in our ministry. And it was just a great day. I never in my wildest dreams, imagined what this day would feel like or how it would be. But it was really, really powerful, and it has changed my life since then. I wasn't really at a place where I if I was going to be making the decision to, ask me to be a monk and to be a monk, I'm not so sure I would have made that choice for me, but Padre saw something and has allowed this monk to evolve. So that's just, a shout out to all of you novices and to all of you who, like me, when I watched Padre take his monk vows, something stirred in me, and that inner monk started to awaken. So once we do become this sage wisdom, we protect all and serve all. So there isn't like, I'm going to protect this group of people, or I'm going to protect this precious flower. Well, like in The Little Prince, we're more angelic, we could be anywhere all the time, because wherever consciousness is, wisdom flows towards that. So with greater consciousness emerging, there's greater protection, there's greater amplitude, there's greater awareness, and all things suddenly start becoming under our umbrella of care and concern. So love is life, life is love. And I just love this image of, the two, it's Jesus and a disciple. Whoever that disciple is it Mary Magdalene? Is it, St. John? Is it his mom? We don't know, but we just know that's sort of an image of a great sage in the world, showing us what it really looks like. And it's always about love, and it's always about life. It's not an intellectual thing. It's about loving all, serving all. And, this Bhagavan quote, when you think of someone you love, that person becomes the symbol of pleasant sensations, memories, images, but that is not love. Become conscious of this, then you could possibly discover love. So, we have, as Miriam taught us, we have attachments, and we think that that's the end all. But truly, that's just the beginning, because once we start breaking down the attachments and we start opening our being, then we are love. We become love. And with love is life. So we also learn to celebrate life, and I love this picture of the adorned Madonna. We want to celebrate life everywhere all the time. This picture of the tree made out of flowers with lights hanging from it. This is my life. This is what I actually have evolved into, living in a way that doesn't matter where I go, I always want to celebrate life. And I love the fact that I'm actually a stakeholder in an organization called Celebrate Life, Celebrating Life Ministries. And it does feel this way to me, with the hands, emanating the essence, and the essence creating an aura, and the aura is all these frequencies and pathways, because CLM is a portal, and it's also a hub for all of the great wisdom principles that come through this organization. We saw that in our prayers this morning. The prayers presenters, who each took us on a journey of tremendous prayer and diversity, all the images and the music, vastness, beauty, it was all there. We were being saturated in sacredness. We were learning to celebrate life. That's a sage's wisdom. So God is forever. God's not going to go away. And what's going to go away is our resistance to God. What's going to go away is our untrust in God, our faithlessness is going to go away, and we're going to evolve into, studying God everywhere all the time. We're going to, start relating to the sage masters that have all come forward through great peril to teach us, so that at this moment in time, we can look back on the journey that they carved out for us and learn. And so we don't have to be saints in this lifetime, but we are going to be sages in this lifetime, because a sage is someone who is complete in himself, herself. A sage is someone who has integrated himself, herself. So we also then have the great opportunity of understanding Jesus not as a religious symbol, but as an evolved being, as a light-hearted being, as a way shower. And other people, who have gone before us and taught us how to do that. It could be someone from your childhood. I was reflecting on this lovely older man the other day, who was one of the way showers for me. And I've talked about him before, Arthur. He was this humble, simple man, and he just always showed me how to get into the flow of life. And it was so loving, and it was so innocent. His innocence was, he had a learning disability. His innocence was so pure, and I learned so much from him. So we're learning to be a Buddha. We need to all be Buddhas in our own way, in our own life. So when you, first of all, as Miriam was sharing with us, you have to believe in yourself, especially when no one else will. We might be getting a lot of pushback because we have created a lot of pushback in our field, in our aura, in our relationships, in our life. And so naturally, we're going to get pushback. We're going to be shown that that's what we've created. That's the flow that we've created. But then when we start realizing that it starts with myself, we can turn that around, and the light can start turning on, and we can love our neighbor as ourselves, and we can, start adding solution to what used to be a problem. We can start uncovering the beauty of the moment, and remember that we can actually be our own master. We can be like a Buddha, dwelling in mindfulness, and that we can do the whatever it takes to create that environment. I used to live in a house where I would go out every single day, and my guides would have me sweep. And as I was sweeping, they would give me downloads for the day. They would work with me that way. I don't do that now. I don't need to do that now. But it was a wonderful beginning of the Buddha emerging. And then once this state of awareness is kind of our centerpiece, we can do as this scripture passage says, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. That is our promise. That's our emanation. That's our vibration. That's our anchor in the world. So we can start helping each other grow. It doesn't mean perfection. So again, please, I just want to leave this last statement very, very clear. Do not strive for perfection. Strive for the promise of God. Strive for the promise of clarity. Strive for the promise of emancipation. Strive for the promise of blessings. And all curses will be reversed. All heartache will be healed, and all relationships will be mended. And I'd like everyone, if you don't mind, just close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your best self and ask that best self, that emancipated self, that wisdom self, that sage self to come to the top of your consciousness. And we want to give that self permission to be strengthened by the energy of this now moment, this supernatural ministry where so many people are holding space for this great consciousness to be stabilized and to be sourced in each of us right here, right now. And my mentor, Ron Roth, would say, may the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make her face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord turn her face towards you and give you peace. Amen. And thank you.
Amen. Now there's wisdom to the fullest. Thank you, Bobby. You know, you had such gems in your presentation today that I think each of us can, every morsel that we feel, the pictures you showed, the statements you made, really reflect on that light that is within each one of us, and stay focused, stay loved, and be loved. Beautiful job, Bobby. Beautiful job.
Thank you, Padre. Love you.